is the secret of the universe. Are Austin and Andy really the same person? How many arms does one person have?
Welcome back to another episode of Diecast Resurrection's 3D Corner. Despite what the tabloids say, I'll be your host, Andy. Alright, today we will be creating something that is truly out of this world. That's right, today Diecast Resurrection goes to space. We are going to be modeling out from scratch the NASA rocket and movable launch cage that fits onto this sweet trailer. This is going to be one of the more elaborate models I've ever made, with a lot that could possibly go terribly wrong, so stay tuned. Now this 1/87 scale majorette was my favorite diecast growing up as a kid. This of course means that all of the plastic pieces are broken. Now I'd originally just planned to model out the launch cage, since it's completely missing, but upon closer look the rocket was cracked as well, not to mention the 90s nicotine stained white on the rocket. Plus I think we can make a better all-around design for both anyway. This is going to be a longer video for sure, so grab some coffee, beer, whiskey, and barring any unforeseen circumstances, watch as I make NASA great again. Hear that, SpaceX?
What, do you own space? No, NASA does.
Well, let's get the show on the road. For the rocket, we're going to start with the basic shapes for each section to get the perfect sizing down, and then we will model each one individually. And with the joy of editing, boom, it's done! Now, I couldn't find the exact rocket that this is supposed to be modeled after. It's somewhere between a Delta and an Atlas kind of rocket. If someone wants to let me know in the comments below. Either way, we're going to model pretty much an exact replica of the current one, but with a twist, because we don't want the same boring rocket. Alright, we'll create the joint that connects the two, and it's going to be size on size pressure fit, so it should be able to be pressed in and out easily. And we're also going to put a pin in so it actually lines up to the right orientation. And then a pin in the other one. And a couple fancy bevels to help it go in. Alright, now the connecting pin for the top. And then hollow out the payload carrier. Alright, looks good. And there's our basic 3-part rocket. It's got all the proper dimensions and angles. Now all we need to do is add all the fancy details. Now we're going to model completely new engines because the original engines are garbage. I mean, just look at this damn thing. What about that screams NASA to you? I'm going to be modeling pretty much the exact same engine design that was on the Saturn V. Because I'm pretty sure this rocket is an amalgamation of like 5 different rockets. Either way, it's going to look pretty sweet. So I'm going to have the engine cones out the bottom, and I'm actually going to put the fuel lines in as well. Alright, now the main engine design's done. Add the fuel line. Or what I assume is the fuel line. Well, that's looking pretty good. Alright, for the middle one, I'm just going to put fuel line on each side just to make it symmetrical. And a little copy pasta, and here we are. Now that is 1 billion times better than the original. Now for the side boosters that they eject first after liftoff, we're going to do separate. So we can print them in half and get full detail, and then we're going to have like a peg on the side so we can glue them in nice. Alright, got the angle, let's get the engine in there. Alright, now I'll add the pegs and then put the holes into the main rocket. Nice, looking good. Now for the holes for the main rocket, after we print it, we're probably going to have to hone them out a little bit, just because they are size on size, and being such a small hole, when it does print a circle, it kind of hangs the filament down a little bit at the top, but it won't be a big deal. Alright, now to add some fine details on the outside. Alright, and put it on the other ones. Okay. Alright, with the second stage here, we're going to model out the little flares at the bottom. Now, this is where we're going to step it up a notch from the old crappy rocket. The way a rocket is designed, as many people know, is when it leaves our fragile plane of existence, it disassembles itself in stages. But every single different piece has its own rocket, so we need to remedy that. There, something like that. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to print this one in 2 pieces as well, after we add this peg, of course. And the hole, there we go. Alright, now that we got our engine modeled and it's in our piece, we're going to have to hollow out our main stage 1 assembly a little bit deeper. Alright, now let's do a test fit. Alright, looks like it's going to be perfect. Now the very tip of these rockets is used for the payloads, and usually what they do is they split in half. We're not going to do that, it's going to be one piece, but we are going to create the payload. I'm going to try and model the payload assembly from the Delta 4. It seems like it would fit in here pretty nice, and it's got pretty simple shapes, so it should be alright. Just going to use the original rocket that we used for the other one. And just add some shapes here, some shapes there. And then peg to insert it, and it should be all good. Alright, there's all the different pieces modeled out. Let's get them in Cura and see what they look like. Alright, looks like it's going to print half decent. I cut the bottom off that rocket so I can get full detail without having to do any kind of supports, so it's going to look nasty. I can just glue it to the base and it'll be fine. Then all the other pieces are split in half on the bed. Yeah, should be able to print this as one big unit. We have our rocket. Now we need the actual cage it goes onto the truck. Alright, in order to model this cage up, because it actually fits the rocket and the truck, I'm going to model a simple model of the trailer to exact specifications and have our rocket that we already made, and then fit the two together. So this is going to be interesting and very time consuming. I'm not going to show the process of making this trailer because it took way longer than I thought it was going to. But I double checked everything, the measurements are all good. So everything we model against this should be in perfect measurement. Should. Please let it work. So I had a power outage again. Yeah, they keep turning off the power around here because I don't know if anyone's actually been to Canada or is Canadian themselves, but we have officially 2 seasons here in Canada. One is winter and one is construction. And of course, lost some video. So we won't see the start of this project, but at least you'll see the finishing touches, I guess. But getting the base of this done was actually pretty long and difficult. Start by just creating 45-degree V shapes that'll hold the rocket, and then I can just go up from there and model the sides. Shouldn't hopefully be too bad. The only thing I'm concerned about is how this thing's going to print, but I think this is something I'm going to have to figure out after I'm done it. Which is not something I like to do when I'm modeling. I always like to keep thinking about how it's going to print as I'm doing it, but I have a feeling I'm not going to get away from printing supports on this one. I'm going to add a 2mm square frame. Alright, get this tricky angle. Come on. Alright, it's starting to take shape. Alright, now we can snip those ends off. Looking pretty good. I'm just going to add a front V support just for the front of the rocket here. Yeah, that'll work good. Alright, now we got to add the cross members. This is going to be tricky. So I'm thinking is 2mm squared, and I'm going to have to rotate 45 2 ways. And just hoping it lines up. Alright, after a crap ton of fiddling around, I think we got her where we want her. Now we just gotta cut off all the unsightly bits and hoping it looks good. Hell yeah, that looks good. Whew. Now another part of this set was a holder that actually clamped down onto the cage, and it kept the rocket in there so you could lift up the rocket and it would stay put. We're going to model one of those quick, and hopefully we can have it so it actually clips in as well. I have a feeling I'm going to be testing this one a couple times because I want to actually be able to, like, move a little bit when you pinch it so it just gets into the cage nice. Now tell me that doesn't look awesome. Yes! Man, I can't believe I actually modeled that crap. Damn! Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be the best way to do this printing, and it's probably going to fail. But I'm going to create my own full support for the underside of this thing. So I'm thinking, being that it's a 45-degree angle, printers usually print 45-degree angles fine. It does get kind of messy in the 2mm department, which is what these are though, so it could really go either way. Sometimes it gets like really bally and stringy when it's that small. So, I don't know. Hopefully it prints. If it doesn't, we're going to do full-blown supports anyway, so might as well try it. Alright, thanks to a failed print, we're back to the drawing board here, and I think we're going to go full-blown support and raft system on this one. Because I had nothing but problems. It wouldn't adhere to the bed to begin with. So after a re-level, it still wouldn't adhere. Then I put some glue stick down. That usually helps prints stay like 100%. And then you almost have to chisel them off the bed. They're on there so much. But even then, it still ended up moving off the bed just because those 2mm bars are just not enough to adhere to the bed. So what we're going to do is full support with a raft. Now what a raft is it prints a little bit of plastic onto the bed itself in a wide area, so it'll adhere to the bed no matter what. And then leaves a little bit of a space, kind of like a support, and it prints on top of that. Just enough, it holds it just enough so it prints, but with the supports we're doing on the inside, it's going to hold on to the rest of the model anyway. So it should wind up good, hopefully, and I put a lot less density on there, so we should be able to get it out without it breaking. That's my biggest concern, is the walls of these things breaking, because they're only 2mm thick. Without further ado, let's head to the printer. Here it is, the finished rocket. Came out beautifully. Now let's see if it fits together. Perfect amount of resistance. We're going to need to hone out all the holes to do a bit of cleanup before we hit the glue, but we don't want to open them too much, so we're going to use a little hand drill. Alright, let's get them helping hands out here. Alright, it's Starbond time. Starbond on a NASA rocket. A match made in heaven. Just remember, if you're in need of some amazing superglue, make sure to visit Starbond's website and use our affiliate code Jimmy10 at checkout for 10% off. And now, the glue montage. Awesome, everything fits. Now the clip that holds the rocket is too thick to pinch together, but is able to attach still and come out at a slight angle. I think I'll keep this design, but I'm going to make a skinnier one as well that can actually be pinched and put in. I made these decals with the old inkjet printer. Should look pretty good. There we go, now it's official. Now this is the first failed print on the cage. The supports I made did not break off cleanly at all, and the cross members did ball up like I thought they would and printed like garbage. And here's the one with the full supports, printed on the raft. Let's get rid of the garbage and see how it looks. Definitely did not turn out as good as I'd hoped it would. If I was to remodel this again, I would probably make the cage a minimum of 3mm on the angled parts at least. But I'm going to clean this thing up as best I can and make it work. And there it is in all its glory. I hope you all enjoyed the finished design. This was the hardest model I've done yet for sure. Anyone who wants to print the items from the channel and more, feel free to check out our official Thingiverse page, Diecast R3D. There will be a link in the description below. I apologize for last week's upload on Thingiverse. It didn't go up for some reason, so I just did that now. The next diecast video with Austin will be up Monday, but feel free to check out some of our other restorations and custom diecast builds, as well as some of the other 3D Corner episodes. Now we're going to be having a 35 degrees Celsius heat wave coming through here for a week, so I got some beers that need drinking. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Cheers!